pioneering surf parks took 10 years to go from pipe dream to paying customers. 10 years! How can digging a hole, filling it with water, agitating that water, and asking people for money be so incredibly complicated? Today's wave pool projects get done on a much shorter timeline, thanks to lessons learned from those early adopters in the space. In Wave Pool Mag sessions, we hear from the brightest minds in the business. Everything's on the table topic-wise, from choosing a tech provider to maximizing food and beverage revenue, and more. So join us for Wave Pool Mag sessions.
Swatch Nines Surf was definitely a big, fun production, a production of fun. And it was just everyone going chaos in the pool, doing the biggest airs and having the best time. We had a lot of obstacles and a lot of toys to play with and make something pretty, like we all seen the air section, we've all seen the barrel, but having the obstacles in there just made it really special and fun. And I think any viewer will understand just by seeing the photos and imagery how much fun we actually did have.
Welcome to Wave Pool Mag Friday sessions. I'm really stoked about this episode. We're talking to Mike Schwab from Waco Surf, pro surfer skimboarder Blair Conklin, and Nico from the Nines. And this is to look at one of the most exciting surf events ever in a wave pool. We were smitten with it as clips came through on our Instagram, through our inbox, but it was the Swatch Nines event. So Mike, Blair, Nico, welcome.
Thanks for having us, dude.
So let's start out. Nico, could you please explain what the Nines is?
So the Nines was founded 16 years ago as an event in free skiing and snowboarding, actually. I used to be a professional skier, and I was a competitor all over the world, and I was really fed up with the way traditional competitions were going, where you travel somewhere, you have a training day, a qualifying, you're good or bad, and then a finals day where there's usually bad weather exactly in that moment when you have to ride, and then you fly to the next continent. And I was like, come on, that's not my sport. Like, we're action sports. We travel with our filmers and photographers, and it's about having fun and not representing your country. So I founded my own event concept in 2008, which was, okay, let me take the prize money, but instead of giving it out to everybody, we just put it in the best possible setup, and everybody can bring his entourage. That was kind of the vibe. And it had to be a long event, like a full week, instead of just a 2-day thing that is very normal in winter sports.
And is the Nines unique to Swatch, or you've had other umbrella sponsors, or how does the partnership work?
Absolutely. So my agency owns the Nines. The agency is called The Distillery and is based in Innsbruck, Austria. And we are the full owners. And we've had throughout the 16-year history, we've had 3 different title sponsors, which were kind of the naming sponsor of the event. But there was always more partners that helped together to make it happen. We had a decade of Suzuki. That was a long time. And then we had 4 years of Audi. And since 3 years, Swatch is our title sponsor. And I have to say, we found a brand that matches our vibe 100%. Very fun, very colorful. And they allow us to experiment. And maybe to finish the story, so we started in snow sports. Then like 2 years later, right away, we founded the mountain bike version of it, which has also been existing for 14 years now. And in 2021, we wanted to do the first ever surf version of the Audi Nines at the time. Actually, it was about to happen in Kelly's pool, but COVID hit and it never did. And then 3 years later, new title sponsor, it all came together again. And we're absolutely grateful to have found this amazing place, Waco Surf, that seems to be the perfect home for what we love doing.
And that's a great segue, because I want to ask about that. You built this incredible setup for the event. Typically a surf contest, the CT pulls up to a spot, and the most complicated aspect is the scaffolding for the judges and the competitors area. But you guys went all out, and you had half pipes, and there went rails and things that went into the pool. Mike, as the host of Waco Surf, having these guys come in, was there any tension? Like, oh my gosh, they're gonna mess up my pool.
Wouldn't call it tension, but I was the angry dad through a lot of the process. Like of all the magnificent stuff that Nico and his team put together, playground for all of the athletes, Blair and his friends. Like there was a lot of stuff that Nico would come to me with, and I had to be like, "No, Nico, we are not lighting anyone on fire and putting them in the pool." So, like it was a long process, as these things are. Nico and a smaller crew came out months prior, stayed for a bit, surfed for a bit, checked out the property, and just started ideating. They had some amazing architects, designers, thought leaders in the space that all sat down and just started coming up with ideas. And we took a big swath of ideas and narrowed it down to what was possible, what was fun, what was safe, what was going to be just viral clips, put it all together, and it turned into something much greater than the sum of its parts, something much greater than you would think that a group of dudes could put together in a bit of time.
Okay. And Nico, through the creative process of coming up with the terrain for athletes, did you have any notions going into it? Or was this something like your mind was blank and then you hung out for a while and then it kind of came to you in a fever dream or whatever?
No, it really was a year-long process. For us as, let's say, the snow sports, the mountain people, to even be brave enough to try to go into surfing, because you guys have the coolest sport of all, and we wanted to do it the right way. So the first step was to find out, does the sport of surfing need an alternative event? And our main point of contact to start with was Coco. She was the one we knew the best, plus the Swatch athlete, and she really had a strong voice in saying, "Hey, I'm not on the dream tour, and there's a lot of us here that needs something special in their lives, something that's more fun." And she knew it because she had this connection to snow sports for many years. So she knew our event. She's been to the snow version of it, and she was the start. And then we started calling more people. And actually, Blair was one of them. We had a really nice conversation at the pool in Munich, actually, about half a year before the event. And Blair was another one of these people that gave us the faith that this is a good idea. And a lot of people, And now we're here. We've done one, and now I can't wait to do more of it, actually. Now it's kind of been solidified that it was a good idea, and the sport was welcoming us with open arms. And now I feel like it's only really beginning, Mike. So Bad Dad, I'm coming at you very soon again.
Dude, I'm ready. I'm ready for the next group of wild ideas.
Have you heard of that amphibious vehicle yet?
It's stacked there. I just got to get a new motor for it. Got to be incorporated somehow.
So I wanted to ask if you can give me an example. Sorry to cut you off, Blair, but before I forget, Mike, tell me something that you just said no to Nico on, like you shut him down. You were a bad dad on one thing.
Yeah, for sure. My favorite, most comical one, my one that I got the email from Nico, and I was like, this guy can't be serious. It was like literally, we're going to cover this guy in some sort of flammable material, light him on fire, and throw him in the wave pool. I was like, this one's getting a little too rich for my blood, fellas. I don't know if I'm really comfortable with this one.
You want to know whose idea that was? And that was all Zeke. And Zeke wanted to bring the Jackass entourage, actually, for this part. I was also, you have to mention, Mike, that at one point I was like, I'm sorry, Mike, I'm also a German and very concerned of safety, but I'm still riding the seat.
It's so do my job if I didn't bring it up, but I'm not necessarily super stoked about this too.
So we have a lot of the things that you built for this. We'll roll some B-roll here, and people can see what's going on between the skate ramp, the rail slide for people to do do rail slides. Let's talk to someone who's in the pool surfing it. Blair, what was your impression of all the components like in the pool? Did you look at it and start immediately thinking how to approach it? I know you're pretty versatile because you skimboard, so you have to think on the fly how to approach something. Share with us about the facilities.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Nico did a really good job of listening to all these crazy surfer ideas and trying to build stuff for the athletes, whether it was Zeke's crazy idea or I think, man, who was it that came up with the hamster ball idea? Like just so many different concepts that people had, and Nico does an insane job of trying to make every athlete happy and give everyone a shot at each surfer's idea. So I think it was cool going into the event. I had something that I wanted to do. I wanted to incorporate winches in the pool, and Mike and Nico were awesome enough to make that happen, and other surfers were interested in it too. We unfortunately ended up having a winch malfunction, and the system broke on us really fast. But I think that just having everyone's crazy ideas being brought to the table and getting a shot at each other's ideas was really the highlight of it for me. And also being able to kind of have that crossover with skateboarders and be inspired almost by what they're doing and what they're trying, and trying to bring that into the pool in some way, whether it's doing a nose bump on the hamster ball or something just different. And yeah, that was definitely the most fun and what made this event so special and different.
Okay. And then Nico with your snowboard background, and then Blair with your skimboard background. Are wave pools kind of the place where surfing can mutate? I know, Blair, you were able to skim into the pool in Munich, and Nico, does someone want to jump on that? Do you see pools and events like this as kind of changing surfing, where it's not going to be 3 to the beach, or you're scored on an air, but you're scored on, I don't know, jumping a rail or ollieing over something?
Blair, I can start.
Yeah.
So we thought about it for such a long time if we wanted to do this in the ocean or in a wave pool. But at one point it became very clear that the direction that we want to go, we want to provide these perfect conditions for people to experiment with things. That is just a million times easier in a wave pool than in the ocean. So yes, for us, it's we want to do this for many years. And for us, wave pools is going to be the way to go for a pretty long time, because we have, after this first one, it really opened up so many more ideas, I feel like, of things we could do. So yes, it's just, I don't have that in the mountains. I don't have that in mountain biking. Actually, the wave pool, that's the most consistent, the most laboratory conditions I've ever found for an event, for anything I've ever done. So thank you. Well done, surfing.
And then Blair, like, I know you mentioned the winch, and I know you want to bring a winch everywhere you go, and I think Palm Springs is still upset with you because of the winch or something. It's like your thing. So you're inventing, and we run articles like invent a new type of surfing. Do you see the winch when it's functioning fully to create some new kind of, I don't know, glide, new kind of aquatic wave riding?
Yeah. I think that it is kind of one of those novelty things that it's not very friendly for the public. Having a winch in a wave pool, there's a lot more moving parts, and there's a little bit more hazards to it, with a rope being whipped across the pool. But I think for the sport of surfing and just being able to approach waves from different directions with more speed than you would maybe have that from riding the wave is really unique. And what makes winching in wave pools so awesome is you have the controlled setup, and where the wave's going to break every time. You can put the winch at any angle you want to get into that wave. And I really do think that like this coming year and hopefully this event, you will see probably the biggest surf air ever done with the utilization of a winch. And I'm certain people will for sure go the highest they've ever gone there, but the hard part's going to be landing it.
Okay, right on. And Mike, after all this, was your pool still intact? Does it bear any stars? Was it okay easy to fix?
Yeah, and I was obviously the build took a little bit longer than the teardown, but forget where I was going. But a couple days after the end of the Nines event, Amy and I were heading somewhere on a trip. We were leaving, and I was like, all right, I want to make sure that these guys are getting after it and there's not a ton left over when I leave town. And it was like the second day and everything was taken apart. Like it was beyond efficient. It was beyond respectful to the actual location. But I think higher than that, it was just cool to watch like actual creative professionals design something that it was built in Canada. Most of those features were built in Canada and shipped down in containers. And then the end of the thing, just take the screws out, throw it back in the container and have it ready for next year.
So cool.
That's nuts. I want to talk about, let's break it down into, if someone can read off the shopping list of components that you put in the pool. I mean, I have hamster ball, rail, dock, skate ramp. What else was there?
So there was also some things that didn't work in year one. We did build a wall ride, for example, with Mason, for Mason. It didn't work yet. But I'm 1,000% sure it's going to work in the second year because now we know what we can do differently. We had a lot of smoke flares and all sorts of like, what are they called? These still burning things, but not too dangerous at the night shoots and stuff. So we had all these things that made the shoots more interesting. And then we combined all the elements that you said, you know, people were airing over that dock, for example, that dock, we had it in different versions. So I think all the things you mentioned for year one, and but wait for year two.
You guys experimented a little bit with some like night shoots as well with like a spotlight, and I always have a hard time like with videos at night. I don't know what it is, but they never do well for me. And I thought that your guys' concept with that spotlight was pretty cool and very like artsy and different. But I don't know if I ever saw anything come from that. The stuff with Noah and the spotlight. Do you remember that?
It had incredible photos. The photos were insane. The filming is a bit tough. You're right.
Yeah, it's challenging with low light.
Okay. And then
like on top of like actual structures and then features that were there, a cool thing about the format that Nico and his team have put together is it takes a lot of stress of trying to be the winner or be the best out of it. So we also saw like people just experimenting with different surf craft, having fun, like that giant bodyboard's a hoot. We still ride that. It's still here. Like that thing pops up at like every staff surf. I think someone's taken the giant bodyboard out.
Yeah. That was the only garbage that was left behind.
Players catch surf. Yeah, I think it's quite important that the Nines or the Swatch Nines is not only the things we build, but it's the atmosphere we create. It's these 3 days where we had roughly 20 surfers, and you guys had a lot of time in the pool to just play around and try stuff. And we do have a slightly competitive side. We do have something called the Gala Night on the last night where the writers judge themselves in kind of like an Oscar award show where there's nominees and nomination videos, and then they judge themselves on the best air, the MVP of the week, and all these things. But do you even remember who won, Blair? Do you guys remember? That's not really what it's about. You know what I mean? It's a part of it, but it's more to give the people the time to come together to progress the sport for themselves and all the images we create.
Yeah. I remember Grayson won MVP, and that was very, very fitting. That guy was on a rampage the entire 3 days. Just just up every morning, every hour, just spinning with ideas and energy. So yeah, well deserved. And I like the voting from all the athletes as well. I think that's a cool structure.
Yeah, and let's talk about that. You see things like from Stab doing the dock, and having their surfers out and doing that. You could tell like they were trying to figure it out, but there was still this competitive element. And you mentioned Mike had mentioned there's no kind of hierarchy in prize giving, but this crew is still really competitive. Did you see that come out? Like, Blair, did you see someone put on their game face? Did you put on your game face and you're like, oh, I'm going to nail this? I think of the rail, like a few people tried it, and did someone, I think Noah finally nailed it.
Yeah, couple of surfers nailed the board slide. I think Mason had one, Noah had one. I think Ball got a good one too.
A couple guys nailed their nuts on the board. Couple guys definitely had some close calls on that thing. But yeah, I would say that there's a little bit of a competitiveness where, people are trying to one up each other a little bit, and maybe it's go higher or be the first one to pull the rail thing. But for the most part, I think everyone's just so excited to try something new that hasn't been done, that you're more fueled by the excitement to give it a shot and try what pull off riding a rail in a pool than you are trying to outcompete someone or something like that.
Okay. And Blair, what was your favorite device in the pool?
I thought that there's a lot of potential with like the forklift and putting stuff like kind of hovering above the pool, which is what they ended up doing with that box or the rail. And I think that potentially having some platforms that you can like run off of with that forklift setup would be pretty awesome. But that was something that I had never seen done in a pool before. Like putting objects in the hovering over the pool with a forklift was pretty outrageous, and I thought that was very clever and pretty damn fun.
Now was that something Nika thought of beforehand, or was that Mike on premises going, oh, we can do this? How did that come about?
It started with the wall ride concept. And when that didn't work out, like the turning it into a rail happened there. It was like, hey, this wall ride's not going to work, but given the location of where we can put this forklift, like if we just put some giant PVC on the side of this thing, you might be able to board slide it. And next thing you know, the dudes were back there with their hammers and their drills, putting it together, throwing it over the side. But like, I don't even think that thing had been lowered completely in the ground before all the servers are like, all right, I'm going for it. Got to hit this thing.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And then, Nico, as you go into the other parts, I want to stick to some of the same components. My favorite part was the hamster ball. Just because it's goofy. It's goofy as hell. So I love that aspect of surfing. How did that come about?
Okay, so the other very creative person that I get to spend a lot of time with is Noah Bashan. And he is still, yeah, he definitely has a beautiful goofy side, I would say, Noah. And it was his idea. He, like I've had a lot of Blair, we've had our conversation and we spoke a lot about winches, for example, right? And Noah was all about bringing, what's that called? Like things you can blow up into the pool.
Inflatables, yeah.
Exactly. And I have to say, that's what I said earlier. Like, you guys are the holy grail of action sports surfing, and we didn't want to come in too goofy too. So I was like, "You sure, Noah? Like, isn't that a bit too much?" And then this thing was on side. It was kind of hiding a little bit behind a house at one of the Waco cabanas. And I don't know, like I remember like as if it was yesterday that Aton, Mason, Noah, they saw that thing and he was like, "Oh my God!" And they took it, and Aton was in it for like 2 hours, I feel like, just tumbling around. Mason tried to bonk it 25 times easily. Yeah, thank you, Surf World, for letting us being goofy. Actually,
Yeah. Yeah, that one probably one of the most treacherous features in this one.
Yeah. Did you have a go at the hamster ball, Blair?
Yeah, I
Tell us
spent a lot of time on the hamster ball, and it was insane because people were lining up the hamster ball with the air section. So you had a group of surfers all working as a team together to put the hamster ball right where you launch off the air section. And that like people were getting really good at positioning it, and we were trying to like put the hole, like the big entrance into the hamster ball, like at the top of the air section so that you could launch off the air section into the hole. And yeah, we were just getting goofy for hours, but I think everyone was having so much fun on that thing that there was a lot of hamster ball time in the pool. And some surfers probably weren't too stoked about that, but there was a handful that really had a damn good time on it.
And Mike, did you have a go at the hamster ball?
No, I didn't. And that's something this year I'm like, all right, one of those days I'm going to go grab my board and get out there and go fiddle around.
it's in a container on your property.
Yeah.
You probably have the key. You can just go grab it.
Okay. Well, cool. There's and the devices that you built, you shipped out. What will make it back next year, and what won't? And I'm sure you can't give everything away, but what?
So-
Yeah, Nico.
Yeah. I'm absolutely ready for that answer because in 2 weeks from now we're all gonna meet with a creative group again. This time we're gonna actually meet in California. We have rented a beautiful house and we bring the creative heads again together to prepare the Swatch Nine Surf 2.0 version. But we are prepared for this. Again, we have the Zenga Bros. That's the name of the Canadian architects that are responsible for the skate ramps. They have taken these ramps and repositioned them so it looks totally different, even though it's the same ramps. Plus, added a lot of things to it. Plus, and that's Mike, you didn't get that earlier. We have actually purchased. Is it amphibia vehicles?
You're close. Amphibious.
Amphibious. Thank you. Sorry, my German here.
It might be wrong.
Mike's hearing that for the first time now. We've purchased 2.
You know they were going to sidewind me today? Is this a setup?
But they can
On a live recorded podcast and be like, what's it going to be, man? Yay or nay?
Yeah, but that's the mellow side. That's okay. So we have these things hopefully in the water, out the water. They work as skate ramps. The vehicles that can and the skate ramps that can also ride into the water. That's the idea. And they can also, one of them has a winch in the front. So Blair has his private amphi vehicle just winching him through space. But most importantly, and we haven't spoken about that at all, Mike, and now I'm gonna. So the one of the reasons why we originally wanted to go to Waco is we've all seen Stab High many years ago, which is definitely an inspiring event for me. Stab High, no question. And back then, everybody was hanging out on that back wall, which nowadays we're not allowed to touch anymore. But we're still praying that we might be, and even if we're not, we are gonna get a much bigger forklift this time to really professionally bring in a lot of surf features. So this is going to be a big focus. We realized with the rail that we built, oh wow, that works. And it was very improvised. But now we have had a year to actually prepare that and do that properly. And then you don't have to position things from in the water, but you can bring them in from the air. So this is going to be a main focus is actually surf features.
Mike, are you on board with that?
Yeah, dude. Like just like last year, and now we know what works, what doesn't. Like, so now it's the ideation time. Come up, figure out how to do it safely, and watch these guys go bananas.
Yeah. Well, it's great to hear you guys recount what happened, because I can see the smiles on your faces, and this was a long time ago, especially in today's Instagram age, where things don't last that long, but everyone is still very much buzzing from the event. In the course of this interview, is there maybe something I overlooked that one of you would like to bring up and talk about?
I think
Your
cool
feelings
thing about
with the
the
group.
event. Sorry, talking over Brent. I think the coolest part of the event is truly the format. Um, it felt like a group of individuals, of professionals at what they do, whether they're friends or friendly outside of the nine specific event or they met for the first time. It was like watching a big group go on a trip together, go on a surf trip together. Everyone hung out all day, um, egged each other on, pushed each other, uh, intersport, like, you'd see surfers taking a break and watching the skaters just go bananas or vice versa, or get the skaters out surfing. It seemed like any pressure existed solely within the individual to try and do something they'd never done or do something fun or funny or to get a clip, but everyone was there just kind of boosting each other, like trying to make sure everyone was having a good time. It was like fun first and then get clips. Clips will come out of you guys just having a blast.
Yeah, I think the pool of talent that you were able to organize for that was pretty incredible too. Considering there's not like a prize purse and there's really the incentive to go there is to do something new and be in that atmosphere with so many talented people. So yeah, just having that group of talent was really made it so special. And them posting across all you couldn't go on Instagram and not see something from the event. It was absurd. It was like so many of people that I've looked up to my entire life I was surfing a pool with, and every time I opened up a video app, it was front and center, something crazy. So that was really awesome.
So Blair,
I feel sorry. I feel like we'd all be amiss too when we talk about the level of talent that was there. It was absolutely the athletes. It was a crazy group of people out there doing what they love. But the rest of the production side, like the what the Zanga Bros were able to build, was blew my mind. I remember when I first saw the first real renderings, I was like, dang, that's not at all what I expect. This is gorgeous. You had Frankie Bird doing like the on-site production. Obviously, they're not new to this space, but their ability to make sure everything ran smooth so everyone else could just be having a good time when they were there was crazy. Nico's whole distillery team and the Swatch team that was out there, everyone was just fantastic, motivated, funny, working together. Common goal.
And a lot of talented videographers and
For sure.
people with cameras, on that production side of things. There's also other than the athletes and their kind of creativeness, there's a whole nother level of creativeness going on with the cameramen and women that were there. So that was really, really awesome to see the collaboration of those two things come together.
and Nico, what would you like to add right before we close out?
Well, maybe my summary would be.
Oh, you're looking at notes. That's cheating.
Huh? No notes. These are guys on EJ board. So my summary would be thank you, Surfing World, for welcoming us with open arms. I think this is also going to be a shout out for all the Swatch Nines wants to be is a blank canvas for a sport, and whoever has ideas should just hit us up and shoot them our way. We are willing to get a beautiful space like Mike's pool once a year from now onwards and realize people's dreams. And we are facilitators here in this. We have our own ideas, but we're all inspired by the people we are surrounded. So thank you, Blair. Thank you, everybody who has contributed. And now this is the shout out for the next decade. People, if you want to do stuff, hit us up. and let's get creative together.
Oh, right on. And before we close out, I want each of you to give me starting with you, Nico, your favorite moment from the event. I know when things happen, it's all a blur. You're running, 20 hours a day, and it's this party atmosphere and so much going on. Was there one moment that stood out that you'll always take with you?
I've done, so that was Swatch Nines event number 37 of my life. So I've experienced a lot of things, and it's hard for me to get nervous nowadays. But I was nervous for this one, coming into the new sport. And before we've even set foot first into that pool, we had the welcome night the night before. And I was kind of doing my speech and trying to explain to everybody what we're going to do, which was all an empty shell at that point. But then at one point, Laura Enever came out on stage, kind of hugged me, even though I didn't really know her, and drank out of a shoe with me. That's kind of what we do at the Swatch Nines. And from that moment on, it was all a beautiful dream, I would say.
Oh, wow. What a great moment. And Blair, what stuck with you?
Drinking out of a shoe was the highlight of your.
It was really nice shoe.
With Laura Enever. And in front of all of you guys, I didn't know at that point. Now we're friends, but back then, now I have more highlights, but I don't know. That one was good.
No, that was special. I'd say my favorite moment of the weekend was this like perfect timed thing that I got to do with Grayson, where he was doing the water gap on that cool ramp that you guys had built, and there was a film team and photographer team that had lined up like his air gap on the ramp with the air section of the surf wave in the background. And one of my all-time favorite videos that came out of that was him doing the water gap and then me landing an air in the background. And Grayson's a good buddy of mine and a team member for a couple of companies that I ride for, so it was awesome to have that shared moment with him, and just be able to have a crazy setup like that. That hasn't really been done in the surf world ever before. So
okay. I remember that clip. That was really cool. You boosted your air right when he went over you, I believe.
Yep. Yeah. And there's so many attempts, you could recreate it over and over again. And finally we got to link one up, and with perfect timing and everything.
Okay. And then Mike. Yeah. What stuck with you other than marks on the concrete?
Yeah. 2 bits. One kind of plays to what Blair was saying. The thoughtfulness of feature location to be able to get these clips. Like, Brian, you and I have seen so many just awesome clips come out of Waco Surf. It's fantastic. But these guys came in and knew exactly where the skate features need to be built so you could get multi-sport clips, images, everything, and like seeing it and like the colors, the beautification. It's just like our property that looked fantastic, and it was such a good platform for everyone. And then number 2, hard to look past, Gala Night Aton. He was all tops.
We got Gala Night.
Yeah.
It's the party. We call
I think he tried to jump through a table that unfortunately the wood was a little sturdier than he thought it was going to be.
Okay. Well, I'm glad everyone survived. It sounds like an amazing event. I really appreciate the behind the scenes view and taking myself and our viewers there. So thank you so much.
Brian, a media pass for 2025.
Yes, here's your invitation. What's the date? 23rd to 25th of June, 2025, Waco Surf. Brian?
I'll see you guys there. Easy.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Of course. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.